if you can see. Okay. Now, what I just want you to remember that where the lightest lights occur, they usually are next to the darkest darks. Okay, so here where there's a highlight on the edge of the top of the rim of the teapot, what's behind it is very dark. And in fact, this could probably go a bit darker as well. Now, I just did these quick little studies this afternoon just to get the sort of feel of it. Hold on. Is that straight? No. That's it. Okay, so this is just a part of the ceramic pot. And I did use a bit of texture in here. I think what I might do is just to move it up a bit and then show you what I did to create. I mean, the ceramic pot has got a glaze on it and a clear glaze, as well as the colour glazes underneath. But it still has a slight texture on it, and it's ceramic, so it's a very different material to the two next to it. I mean, this one is a part of the glass oil lamp, and this is a copper pot. Okay, so when I was doing this, first of all, I obviously drew the contour of the shape, and then I used my pencil, having drawn the contour. Wait a minute, if I do it now. Sorry, I'm just going to move this up a bit so you can see my mark. You won't see so much of the drawing. I come out a wee bit. Okay, so I would start by lightly defining whatever the contour is. Okay, so in this case, it's got a bit of a neck, and then it bulges out. It's a jug. Start with the contour, and then consider where the tones are on it and the fact of its form. So it's a round shape. So although I started by using my pencil like this on its side and softly put some tone in, this is not cross hatching. This is what I would call shading. Okay, you can start by actually introducing some tone onto the form, but you also at the same time have to consider that it's actually a round shape. So I did, as I progressed, introduce some lines around the form to get the feeling that this was a round object. So I didn't sort of make all my shading go the same way. Do you understand what I'm saying? See if I can go in closer. Can you see those round lines created by my pencil?
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
good. Okay. Now, when it came to this little sort of textured bit, and this is where you'll have to find out what marks are most appropriate, I literally did some sort of little scribbly dark marks to convey the fact that there was a bit of a texture underneath the clear glaze. And you can use your pencil any way you like and do it like that, hold it sort of right up at the end of the pencil, and you can make these sort of little scribbly marks. And then you can go back, and then you can actually put more tone over the top of it. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is that the lifting out process, which is part of what we've done in other exercises, I'm just going to come out a bit so you can see. Here, where there's a highlight, and what I said earlier on is where you get your darkest darks, they tend to be the lightest lights meeting them. So in a highlight, I would use I have quite a good rubber, and I would actually lift out the area that I want to have as a highlight, maybe work that round it with my pencil. Or that's one way of doing it. Or you can actually lay some tone down like this, and you can literally use the sharp edge of the rubber and literally quickly lift out some sharp little lines. I know we've done this before. So we'll lift out the highlights with our rubber. Okay, so for the ceramic shape, I was looking at two things. I was looking at the tones, so that's the dark to lights, and it's sort of lit by the side lamp, so the front of it is much lighter than the actual side. And I also was looking at the texture. So that's for the ceramic one. The glass one, I'll just quickly tell you about this glass one. Can you see it? Maybe not. Right, the glass one. The type of marks I used, again, were very different. I deliberately was very, very careful about the initial contour line, that it was very, very light. In certain places where I could see, I think it's obviously picking up what's around it, and you get, it picks up the dark from the shapes next to it. So in this case, it's the jug on one side and the teapot on the other. And so what appears are these sort of slightly darker patches actually on the glass. So I used my pencil, I sort of deliberately made the mark a little bit darker in certain places on the actual glass form. Even here, I used my pencil lightly, very lightly, to create the kind of reflections that you get in glass. Now, a lot of you have done, we painted glass in the summer, copious amounts of glass, and I hope you remember that what happens is you can see through glass, obviously. I mean, that's an obvious statement to say. So if have a glass object and you've got something behind it, the object or form that's behind it will appear to be a bit fuzzy compared to the sharper shape which is not covered by the glass. And sometimes you can get some very interesting shapes appearing through the glass. Now this little oil lamp has got a little metal bit in the middle here, so it gave me the opportunity to do something that looks, sharp and metallic compared to this really soft, delicate form of the glass. I think, if you have got a glass object, I would hope that you can, be conscious of what you're trying to create. That don't, for goodness sake, put an outline around it, a heavy outline, because glass is, isn't like that. You don't want any heavy outlines. And then moving on to the copper pot here, I just had to remind myself, this is a metallic shape, it's hard, and there are real contrasts between dark and light and highlight. And I put shading down and then lifted out the light bits with my rubber. Again, I avoided putting a heavy outline around it. When I draw it in initially, I always keep the marks light and sensitive until I'm confident that I've actually got the form how I want it. I drew a bit of a handle which is picking up bits of the light, so I deliberately left bits and then, did the sort of dark edge on either side of it with my pencil by using a little bit more pressure on my pencil. Now, I've done all this with a 2B pencil, and I think, the tendency is to think that you can get a much nicer, richer, softer looking thing if you use a 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B. Sometimes it's appropriate, but actually sometimes you can, if you've got a soft B or a soft 2B or even an HB, it gives you the opportunity to do some really crisp, sharp little bits of drawing, and then the softer, more tonal kind of stuff. So I think before you start, maybe make yourself 3 little rectangles. They don't have to be as big as mine, and just take a little part of each of the object and do a little study, just like I've done, and see how you would create the textures for those particular ones. Make yourself consider what marks are going to be appropriate for that particular form, okay? And I think we should do this before we launch into doing a bigger study, okay? And we all understand about cross-hatching, don't we? I'm not advocating that you do cross-hatching, but you might want to, And if you do, then that's all right as well. I tend to just create tone by using the side of my pencil, but you can, you could do some, cross hatching as well. I mean, that also works. Remember, keep the spaces regular and open them up when you want to make it lighter. You can do cross hatching if you feel it's appropriate.